So there's something written about Age of Taurus. It's like, agriculture starts to happen then, and there are still some links like Age of Taurus with like the Age of Cancer stuff that was there, but it started to slowly shift though away from that. By the age of like Aries, it really started to like shift away, and these even Feronia as a nature goddess, they took it to Rome somehow, or like somehow they were like, yeah, we're just gonna take this to Rome, and she's just gonna be we're gonna just do it there. But they lost this connection to nature, and slowly like we lost this connection over time, and with it kind of also the connection to instincts or wild self, but also kind of this deeper connection to life, kind of in that sense, and community. It's slowly fading away, being broken down, and I don't know, maybe like the age of Aquarius is this like coming together again of these elements of community in that sense, maybe like that we reintegrate all of this. Because I've heard like a lot of people talk about the two fishes of Pisces, and like that's all what it
Yeah.
is. And I kind of feel like no, that like we have to understand all of this stuff too. Otherwise, we don't understand the context of the age of Aries or Pisces, and what comes after, if we don't understand what came before. I mean, Age of Leo, for instance, one thing that I know that I can throw in there is also an age of symbolism, the age of imagination, symbolism, and that we started to like really see that in the world and connect to that, to the spirits. That's when that really started, and eventually that became these like cults of fertility and these goddesses. And then later on, like the sky god became more important in the age of Gemini, and that started to form. And then like you had then with like I mentioned like Apollo, but also like Uranus and Mars, and also Janus. And they're also linked to the Koryos, the Age of Gemini stuff. But that like at that time it started to shift and become like just pure war gods, and like a lot of the rites of passage kind of stuff started to like slowly fade. By the time of the Romans, like the Romans didn't know anymore what Uranus really was about. They didn't know what it was about. It was just like a ritual they did for the sake of ritual, but they didn't really know anymore like what it was. And like in the late like Roman era, they had completely forgotten about it, about what it was about.
Mm.
They didn't have it anymore. They lost it. And that's kind of like something that like slowly, like yeah, like you said, like it's like time is breaking these things apart. And I kind of feel like at the same time it's up to us kind of like to put it back together kind of, and understand this like a historical flow, and understand like what we have to go back towards kind of. It's like
Yeah.
a journey back in time to the source of something much greater that we kind of then can reconnect to, and can understand like this is where we came from, and like hey wait, we're alive, and like everything is just amazing, like this world is amazing, and it's alive and it's changing, and we're part of all of this, and everything is just breathing, and I'm like I am a tree in that sense, and I'm a part of the trees, and the trees are a part of me, and everything is in one big like connection to everything else. It's kind of like this like kind of what the anima or
Mm.
thumos in that sense is about too. It's about this connection, this relationship between everything, and between us and ourselves and everything else. And like and then kind of like in Age of Aries and beyond, like started to like yeah forget about this. And then we had the Vikings too, with like the wolf headner, the wolf skin it's called. And then I think like about the werewolves and stuff like that. What is all of that? What is even furries with the wolf furries and all these different animals? What is that really?
Uh,
I've heard about a lot of these different people that they started dreaming about being a wolf and shapeshifting into a wolf. What are they dreaming about? Archaic remnants, how they are called, and what is it actually really? It's not an archaic remnant. It's not something that you should dismiss and it's like in the past. No, it's actually a message from the subconscious, from in that sense, you can say from the spirit world, and it's an old message in an old language that we don't tend to understand. But what it's saying is, listen, it's time to grow up. And but the thing is that what happens is this goes into fantasy, and then they become a wolf with a diaper, and it becomes weird.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
really, what
to
it's
get
about, it's
the wire crossed.
yeah, but really, what it's about this wolf shamanism and this very ancient stuff. And there's more to it. It's like you have to basically what it's saying. Listen, you have to connect to instinct, to your wild self. You have to integrate that so you can break free from your parents and your mental parents, so to speak, so that you can become your own individual. You can pull your dick out of the stone, and you can become your own
Right.
king, build your own kingdom. Because that's also one thing with the Age of Gemini. Not all of these young men came back. Some of them, most of them came back to the society. Others went somewhere else. They became kings, and they founded their own society, their own kingdoms. It's like, I think, Neirum, you said something about the Mormons once, about like how some stay away and some come back. That's exactly that. I think that's what something that they
Hmm.
preserved in that way, that they allowed that. That's the old like wolf shamanism kind of ritual in another form, but that's kind of what's missing. That like young
Yeah.
men and women can do that they can go out there into the world. That's what it's about. Go out there and into the world and make something out of
Right.
yourself. And like I might be your parent and something, your dad, your mom, or something like that, but you have to go out there into the world, and we have to like let you go and make something of yourself, so that you can learn
Yeah.
something and you can bring something back. Because that's what they also did. They through their experiences they brought something back, something that's missing. And they brought life to something that would be otherwise dead. And that's what it's
So
all
you call
about.
these things archaic fragments?
Archaic remnants, it is called. Like Freud
Remnants.
and
Oh, okay.
yeah, Freud and Carl Jung called them like that. That's basically the term for it that they use. But I kind
Oh,
of
okay.
find that it's not a remnant. It's more like an archaic message. That's how I would put it. It's really what it
Okay, you
is.
call them. I want to write this stuff down because it's very similar to some of my theories about like consciousness. It's essentially, you said archaic messages, right? That's what you call them.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's a message from like on one channel Jung to live by would say like it's coming from the genome or something, but it's like it's something
Yeah.
imprinted in ourselves from the evolution of consciousness from the past all the way up to now, and how it speaks to us kind of like when we're hitting these blockages is in this or quote unquote archaic way. But the thing is that things like around us change so much, but the thing is that we didn't. We didn't change that much. We're kind of still the same beings that we were. We think that we are not, and we're going to transcend and become like, I don't know,
Right.
kind of stuff. But the thing is, the matter of the fact is, we're still the same beings. We still have these old dreams, and we still have to go through these rites of passage, these different stages of life. That's really what it is. And then,
So it's like this idea. I called it dragon shards or like fragments, and it was a reference to the myth of like the Dropnar and like Balder. And I think
mhm,
for me this astrological wheel has to do with like the procession of the path of a metaphysical being produced by this drop, and then its successive rites of passage.
yeah,
And I think so like the link between Aries age and like the age of Pisces is like where these previous mythic symbolisms or idols become sort of just vanity pieces, which in a sense is appropriate because Aries sort of represents the idea of like, well, if we're going to worship something or we're going to use something to meditate, it should be a depiction of our ancestor. So that's okay. But the fact is that like it's disconnected in terms of understanding how to use it. And then the next one is Pisces, where it's like we all become one, or we go back into Balder, or like the dragon, or whatever you want to,
Yeah.
the great being, right? And um but my idea of these shards was that you essentially like have to face that. Without that mind-blowing initiation moment, your conception, the general human's conception of themselves, is not like a real person. It's like it's like an arbitrary connection in between all of these different points of information, where some of them are these shards or fragments or messages, and some of them are trying to recall, to keep going through the passage to get more of the fragments. And then eventually there will be like a resonance where that person emerging personality is
Mhm.
actually going to start regulating in between the fragments, and instead of it just being um routines or
Yeah.
fixations or comforts.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean like in a way to through time learn about these different aspects, so the different signs in the zodiac, and then realizing that they are actually still like part of one much bigger thing together.
Yeah, it's like yeah, because it's like they have to be called into your memory, and some of them already exist in the memory, sort of like how you're saying, like the furries. So the furries have like a fragment, but and then that fragment is isolated in their personality, and their personality is not like the real them, right? In order for the real personality to emerge, that fragment has to be, like you said, you have to go and get more fragments, so that there begins to be a resonance in between the fragments. And then that's the real them. And then maybe they have more than one, and they already have a resonance. So they have like a little bit more real themselvesness, and some people have gone on the journey for a long time, and they have a lot, they have a lot of resonance. um I guess to me it's like a way to understand like what is a who really knows who they are, and it's like how
Yeah.
many pieces have you gotten and integrated.
For the entire episode, please check out the description or click on the end screen. And maybe see you next time.